Welcome to Job Club. As we kick off the new year 2022 with our first presentation, we're so glad that you've joined us today. I'm Diana Doggett. I am an extension specialist for special projects, and we are excited with our speaker today, and we can't wait to get started. I would encourage you to toggle the two icons to everyone to ensure that we can see your questions and comments as we move through the program today. We would also love for you to tell us where you're from. So give us a shout out in the chat box and we can welcome you and know just how far-reaching Job Club is presenting today. Our program today is we will have success stories. Our main speaker will share some active job leads, partner updates, and next time at Job Club. Our mission at Job Club is to provide a positive environment for job seekers to network and learn the best practices for the job search. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month, and you can find the schedule of topics at www.ukalumni.net/jobclub. I would like to introduce our team. We have Caroline Francis, who's Director of Alumni Career Services at UK Alumni Association. She is not with us today. We have Amanda Shagney, who is the Associate Director of Alumni Career Services. Nicole Waite is with employment she is an employment specialist at UK Steps Temporary Employment. Suzanne Smith and Sunny Saylor at the Fayette County Extension Office, and Ellie Goodman and Grace Herring with UK Alumni Association. It takes a team for Job Club success, and we certainly have a great one. Job Club is currently hosted in hybrid format. That means we're in person at the Fayette County Extension Office. We have options for a Zoom webinar, and the chat moderator is available during the presentation. And we also are on Facebook Live. This is view only, no chat moderator or job lead newsletter. I would encourage you to review our free Job Club resource packet. In this packet, you will find just an array of information that will help you in your job search, networking opportunities. We have Lexington and statewide area staffing agencies. We have articles of interest for job seekers, resume review, checklist. This is the place you want to go in the interim when you're not joining us at Job Club, as you are involved in your job search. So you can find this checklist at www.ukalumni.net/jobclub as well. So make sure you check that out. We also want to encourage you to join the Central Kentucky Job Club sharing community on LinkedIn. And this again is an additional opportunity for you to network with other job seekers, with businesses, employers who are checking out that website, and just knowing the importance of being on LinkedIn. And you can also receive information and job leads, again, during the 2-week interim that we are not meeting. Employers and recruiters are always welcome at Job Club. In-person employer guests may have a 1-minute spotlight to share active job leads with our group later in the program. So watch your email today for job leads that have been sent and shared with the Job Club team. Some attendees are conducting a confidential job search, so let's please be respectful of the privacy of the job search of others. Check out job search related articles included in our Job Club reminder emails. Recordings and PowerPoint slides are available again at the web address that I have been given out, ukalumni.net/jobclub. So if you've missed a session and you would like to revisit that, just go there and you will see all of our recordings. We always like to welcome first-timers. and tell you that you're going to receive a follow-up survey today. And this feedback will place you in our notification system. And that will help you to be aware of future programming. So scan the QR code below to complete that process now. Do we have any first-timers that are in the chat box? No one? Okay. Well, if you are, okay, who do we have in letting us know that they're in first time? Let's see here.
We've got a good amount of first timers here. Welcome.
Great. We got Joseph.
Gerard, Kimberly, Joseph, Deja, Jacqueline. Welcome to you all.
That's awesome. We are just especially thrilled when we know that you're a first timer, and we'd love to know how you found out about Job Club. So if you could put that in the chat box, that's always helpful to us as we try to market the program and make sure that everyone is aware of this assistance when needed. So if you would like to tell us how you learned about Job Club, that would be great. Well, we're going to move on now to success stories. Just a really, really important component of Job Club, because not only do we like to help you along the way, we like to share in your celebration when and if you get and receive a job, or if you make progress during that process. So again, in the chat box, if you'd like to tell us a success story, since we've last met, we'd love to hear about that. And we define successes as a resume update, or maybe you've reached out and enlarged your network. Maybe you've had an interview, got an upcoming interview. There are all kinds of measures of success that we need to note along the way, because that's just part of the job search process. So let us know if there's any success stories today, and we would love to share that. That's encouraging to other attendees. It's motivating. So anybody out there had something that they would like to share that's been helpful?
Jacqueline in the chat, who updated LinkedIn and started to formulate a resume, and is also meeting with Caroline tomorrow. Way to go.
Wonderful. Great. Well, you know, one of the things that we said at our second Tuesday in December, our first Tuesday, we actually didn't meet the second Tuesday, did we, in December? But when we met at that particular session, one of the things that we encouraged all of our attendees to do was to not stop job seeking during December. That it was very, very important that the employers were still looking and they were still hiring. And, you know, here we are, we've got 2 success stories as a result of people that were relentless, kept up the search, and look what's happened. So I'm going to share 2 of those success stories with you right now. Good morning. Persistence has paid off at long last. My first day is today with KCTCS. Pleased to have you share my good news with the network. As for advice, I wish to extend to all those my encouragement, and although something of a platitude, extend that the right position is waiting for them. As for knowing that during the difficult times of job searching is key to maintaining self-confidence and personal morale. Remembering to continue to utilize this and other professional networking such as industry and LinkedIn. Another kind suggestion to other Job Club members would be to take as many interviews as presented. During this time, I fought self-doubt and to stay positively focused. So I booked interviews with areas of interest to stay focused and continue to hone the process and keep morale high. Thank you again to Job Club, and this is from Brandon King. So congratulations to Brandon. And then we have our second success story, and it says, yes, please share my employment success with Job Club. I will be sharing and starting my new job on Monday, January the 10th, 2022 as a full-time nurse practitioner physician with Dr. Sloop's St. Joseph East Payne and Sub-Oxone Clinic. My job search advice is to be creative and persistent in one's approach to employment opportunities. In my case, I contacted through an email a former potential employer over 4 years ago, was offered a job, however, went with another employer. At that time, the employer I turned down told me that if the other job did not work out, to let them know. And that is exactly what I did. It was just perfect timing. And as the company was thinking about hiring another NP with my skills and experience, I am so thankful that I stepped out of my comfort zone and made that contact, even though it had been over 4 years. Thank you again for your expertise, your time, and support. Best regards, Dr. K.G. Wilson. So what a great way to kick off 2022. I know there'll be more, and it could be you. So we'll be excited to share your news when you shared that with us. Well, it is my distinct pleasure today to introduce our presenter. Brad Patrick is an executive in residence at the University of Kentucky Gatton College of Business. He is an advisor, consultant, coach, and talent developer with practical performance solutions. He is a former HR and administrative leader at Valvoline, Tempur Sealy International, Sara Lee, P&G, Delta Airlines, Frito-Lay, should I say more? Patrick, we are so happy to have you today, and I am most curious what to do in those first 90 days. So thanks for coming and sharing.
Thank you. A lot of people, when they look at all the companies I work with, suggest maybe that I can hold a job. But if nothing else, I do have a lot of first 90-day experience by working with so many companies. At the University of Kentucky, at the Gatton College, Business and Economics, I'm, I guess, a co-developer of our graduate program we recently launched, the Masters of Strategic Human Resources Management and Analytics program. We call it SHRMA. In that course, I teach talent acquisition. I also teach change management, but talent acquisition is a wonderful topic. It's a hot topic right now. And so in our teaching, we get a chance to do research on the topic and on the subject. And as also mentioned, I do some advising. I don't really like to call myself a consultant, but I do some advising with a number of companies in Kentucky as well as around the country as well. So I get a chance to see this whole employment discussion take place everywhere, and it's a challenging time. It's a wonderful time. I know that people sometimes have stress with it, but I will always encourage you to have fun with it. That's why I love working with the Job Club. It's a very positive and optimistic group of people with great information. So I applaud you for tuning in and encourage you to continue to participate with them. This is a return presentation for me. I've done one in the past, and I've very much enjoyed building the relationships and networking with people in the organization. So what I'm going to talk about today is your first 90 days. And I think it's wonderful. It's a wonderful question. It's a wonderful topic. So let me share you my thoughts on it. What I'm going to suggest is do this stuff. You see the screen. Be optimistic, friendly, humble, ask questions, ask for feedback, take care of yourself, don't pick your nose, wear nice clothes, brush your teeth, do all that stuff. And then I could probably stop there and say thanks, move on. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to talk about many other things that go along with this. But this is all when you look on the internet, this is what it tells you to do. And it's fine advice. There's nothing wrong with it. I want to take you down a path a little differently, just to have you think a little bit differently about this topic. Here's our discussion path. The first bullet says it's not me, it's you. And that presentation is what I did the last time with Job Club, talking about how poorly companies, employers handle the hiring process. And that was the main message of that discussion. It was about how they're still struggling to figure out how to catch up with the modern day employment world. They're bad at it. If you remember, if you listened to that presentation, it talked about how poorly companies sit down and properly assess people. It talked about how awkward it was to understand what the jobs were all about. And then it talked about how poorly companies onboarded people. Now, this makes me kind of the grouchy presenter, I guess, in this situation. And I am a little bit grouchy, and I was trying to be nice to many companies over the last year that I've been working with companies in this area. But I've kind of taken away some of the niceness and saying you're just really bad at it. And I've given them things to go work on, but they're a long way from it. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the foundation for success. And you probably hear this at Job Club. Yep, it's self-awareness. Self-awareness is the angle. It's the competitive side of it that you have to be really great at it. And we'll talk about that. Let's align, and I'm going to talk about what self-awareness is. We'll go into a little bit of discussion of it. And it's really hard. I'm not going to suggest it's an easy thing to do. It does take some investment of time, some concentration, and a path to do it. Then I'm going to talk about these bad onboarding processes that companies offer. The first 90 days is the onboarding process for many organizations. So we're going to talk about the struggles companies are having with it and what you can do to counteract that. And then lastly, what are you going to do with it? What's the plan to make that happen?
I screwed it up, I'm sorry. You can off the screen share. Gotcha.
Got it? We're good? Fit? Sorry for the little technical thing there. It's not me, it's you mindset. And what I meant by that is, hey, a lot of people looking for positions out there interviewing get all worked up and frustrated and angry and confused. And it's really mostly not your fault. It's the companies doing a really not a good job of that. And they're trying, but hiring managers in their companies are generally not good at hiring. If you did hear my last speech, I talked about when one person sits down to interview another person, and then I gave that person a test, they're about 13% accurate, is what I suggested. If you get 3 people to interview you and I give them all tests, they can get around 24, 25% accuracy of who you are. And this is in an unstructured environment, which is most companies do, and then they have poor follow-through and poor assessment processes. So what we advised back then, when we talked about that, is you have to help carry that. You have to have the story. You have to make it easy for them as they fumble around. Hiring managers have to fill a position. It's usually way behind. They have to go get approval from their boss. The boss gives them ideas and thoughts about, you better do a good job of this one. The last one didn't work out, or the last one was perfect, and you got to hire another perfect person. And then legal is talking and whispering in their ear. HR is whispering in their ear. You basically have a person who is scared to death when they interviewed you. So the advice that I gave last time was about how do you work through that. What I'm going to suggest here, they're not good at onboarding employees either. The onboarding process is usually rushed. They don't know how to do it. It's not structured. And it's all about how you conform to them. They just spend all this time interviewing you, getting to know who you are and all the wonderful strengths and capabilities you have, and then they want you to conform to their business. It's an odd relationship. Employment conditions continue to change, and employers aren't keeping up. So we have to empower you. You have to go in with the right approach. You, the candidate, the employee, the performer, must engage differently to create the career connection to somebody. Self-awareness. We talk about self-awareness all the time. I'm going to keep talking about it. The candidates that work out the best, the candidates that are happy, the candidates that have personal self-control in this whole process have great self-awareness. Show you the studies that are usually long, 60, 70, 100-page document papers with a lot of research, and they all basically say the more self-awareness you have, the better off you are. It's critical in finding the right career path. It's required for you to prepare for an interview, It's an important component of emotional intelligence when you're working, right? That's the hot discussion today. How emotionally intelligent are you? Self-awareness is a major component of that. It's a main objective when you get a coach, or if you hire a coach, or when I go coach executives, the first thing we work on is establishing where they are in self-awareness. And then when you have a competency model in your company that calls for executive maturity, that's just another way of saying how self-aware are they. So yes, it starts with self-awareness. So let's say, what is that? Two categories. There's internal self-awareness, and that's how well you know yourself. That's seeing, knowing your values, your passions, your aspirations, how you fit in the environment, what's the environment you like, what's the one you don't like, what are your strengths, your weaknesses, what is your purpose, mission, vision, values, what are your operating principles? That's what you have to explore. You can't do that in a cursory way. You have to go after that and really deeply understand that. And then there's the external self-awareness, is how others view you, how are seen by others. And then you have this thing called a blind spot. And if I ask you, tell me your blind spots, guess what you can't do? You can't tell me your blind spots. You know why? Because you're blind to them. So you have to have people who like you, care for you, love you, help you understand what that's all about. This is a lot of work, but it's very important in this job search. You'll see that I noted an article at the bottom there. It's a great article, and I'll have it in an appendix later as well. So let's talk about this. So, strong self-awareness, it really speaks to how you develop your relationship in your employment. It helps strengthen that relationship. It helps you with personal and social control. And that's what we're all looking for, is the ability to kind of walk into a situation and have less uncertainty. Not everything, but you're going to have less uncertainty when you understand who you are and how you fit and how you react to things. Personal satisfaction, greater skill at showing empathy and self-confidence. Those are the people that we want to work with in our companies. Those with greater self-confidence and greater empathy, to be trustworthy and dependable. So you have to know who you are in that sense. Weak self-awareness sets up the opposite to what I just said, but it also adds high stress and anxiety. Just think about the time when you walk into a situation and you don't know what's going to happen next. That is stress and anxiety. So self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. If there's a test after this presentation, guess what one of the answers is going to be? Self-awareness. Now let's talk about the traditional approach to onboarding. Most companies, well, I don't know, I'd love to take a survey how many companies even offer an onboarding, other than just the paperwork you need to get employed. But an onboarding process, if companies do attempt it, is usually about, here's our culture, here's our rules, here's our policies, here's what to say, what not to say, and all that. And they tell you who they want you to be. It used to be called assimilations. Many companies call assimilations, and then what happened there is that banged right in the face of diversity and inclusion and letting people be their authentic selves. So that's when we started to really realize and understand that maybe onboarding shouldn't be about you conforming to who we are. We want you to fit. We want you to contribute. We want you to feel comfortable. But I just spent all this time asking you questions about your strengths and interests and passions and opportunities. And now we hire you. Now I want you to conform to ours. That's the struggle that people are having with this. So most organizations assimilate. It's called organizational identity socialization. It's about conforming. Stressful, it's awkward. It requires you every day to come to your new employment in the first 90 days and resolve if you made the good decision or not. That's keeping you from getting integrated and pulled into that. And this bottom point here is very important. As we study the Great Resignation, and we finally kicked out of there that it isn't about stimulus money. And it's about COVID, it's about childcare, but it's largely about people not wanting to put up with work environments they don't fit in. That's why we've seen the highest number of people leave to go start businesses. That's why we see people leaving, because their organization hasn't figured out the hybrid work environments. So I was talking with some of the folks here in the job club about hybrid work environment. It is a major issue that's not resolved yet. I've worked with a number of companies, most of them, and I advise to Keep learning, figure this out. The world is changing. We're going through a reset right now. You don't have the facts to know what the right answer is, probably. A couple of companies I work with, two of them in particular, one here in the state of Kentucky and one outside of Kentucky, and they made the demand in July that everybody come back to work. One of them had 46% turnover, and the other one had 42% turnover in less than 90 days. And that shows you the power of understanding what people want and what they need, and what you want and what you need. So this is the part of the job search, the career search, the kickoff to 2022 for the opportunities that exist out there. And it's a great time to do that now. You've got to really dig into what makes you happy and what satisfies you. Companies that are out there right now hiring off of a job description, and that's a statement that has bullet points on it that tells you how you're going to move your hands and legs every day for at least 8 hours, is not working. Companies that are switching and helping people understand the purpose, the objectives, the destination, the work environment, the expectations to match with your self-awareness understanding are the ones that are having more success. So because companies aren't very good at that, once again, I'm the grouchy lecturer here, you have to carry that obligation forward to help match up with companies. You may even be helping companies figure out what is the best employment situation for yourself. Modern workplace is evolving. It's resetting, as I mentioned. Here's what we know when we study people in the employment situation. You want respect, role accountability, clarity, trustworthiness with others, be a part of something important, an important purpose, important work, recognition for what you do, and you want to work with people you like. You have to figure out what that means to you when you go out looking for the next career opportunity, the next employment opportunity. And you have to help match that up. Like I said, most companies are coming at you with a job description, bullet points, and it doesn't really answer those questions. It just, once again, tells you how to move your hands and legs, and it's an encouragement for you to conform to who they are. That's not where we are today. It's a new approach to integrating employees into the workplace culture. So effective onboarding is what I'm going to suggest to companies that largely they're not doing it yet, but it's called personal identity socialization. So this is from the company side. This allows new employees to join with their authenticity, because we already know that they're leaving jobs because they're not getting a chance to be authentic. Companies must facilitate a path to allow employees to express themselves and find the fit within the organization. What you're going to find as an employee, if you're an employer and you've done this and you've hired somebody, you've spent this time in an interview process to learn who they are, to grab the strengths, the things that help you decide to hire somebody, you need to now help and work with that employee so they can connect that to what your work environment is. Not only to the great things of the work environment, but maybe even how to improve the work environment. Hopefully they've hired you to make the work environment better. So from the company perspective, the better that they do this, they're going to realize higher retention, a faster path to being productive, and then developing the team dynamics that organizations need to be successful, especially now because everything's adapting and changing overall. So this is the new approach. It's more personal identity. So what does that look like? What that looks like in many organizations is, hey, congratulations, I'm glad you've accepted the role. Hey, let's spend some time really pulling out and helping you understand, making sure you understand the strengths that you bring to the organization. And let's also figure out the things that you want to learn and your passions and your interests and prepare you before we introduce you to the work environment. Being prepared to handle that and to be able to step into that right away is a joyous, wonderful occasion, and hopefully will help you understand that you've made a right decision when you join that organization. We use, some companies, as we work with companies on this, use 360 feedback for their employees to understand how they fit into it. Well, this is where you can use a 360 feedback for the person to understand what people think of them outside of the company. So now they come in equipped, aware of how they interact with people, how people see them. And that awareness helps them connect with people in their new work environment. If I got that point across, that's good, but let me just kind of follow up with this. So that's what, now what? You must proactively set the tone and indoctrinate yourself. You need to come prepared to be indoctrinated in the environment. I use Patrick Lencioni up here. Many of you may know him. He's with a group called the Table Group. He's kind of famous and writes a lot of books. And I don't usually take a lot of stuff from those folks. I really like his humble, hungry, and smart. That's what I like about the first 90 days. Humble is very important. No one wants to know it all. You don't need to come in so self-aware that you recognize that you're better than everybody else, and you've done this at my other company, and at my other company, we pushed a button and got all this information. Well, the feedback you're going to get is, you should have stayed with the other company. Being humble and learning the details, asking questions, being hungry, optimistic, positive, energized, excited about the opportunity. It's very common for people, I call it, but this is one of my Bradisms, it's called the cafeteria theory of life. Everybody complains about the food, but no one's ever starved to death. And what that basically means is we complain to each other to find a connection. And okay, sure, that's great, and that's one way of socializing, but what about doing it in a hungry, positive, smart way? A lot of people want to complain to you so they can say, oh yeah, the food is no good here. But what if you can find a different way to approach that? Humble, hungry, and smart is that savviness. It's to know when you do know something and you can add value, but it's also having the ability to ask for input, to learn from people, and to say, I've never done that before. And you'll find that people will run to you and they want to talk about their jobs. They want to tell you about things going on. Humble, hungry, and smart is a nice little thing. I've listed Patrick Lindsay, and look it up. It's a really great short little book about it, but it's a nice way to look at it. Find ways to offer and integrate your strengths when you talk to people. By knowing your strengths and finding ways to suggest it to people, here's how I can help. People want help, and you can tell them what you've done. Be inquisitive and open yourself to learn new things. Wow, I've never done that before. That's pretty neat. Can you tell me more about it? Hey, how does that work in this sense? Hey, what do you want it to work like? Be inquisitive, be humble. Ask questions about people. Seek to learn about others. Ask questions, be interested. That's who you want to work with. That's who you want to develop relationships with. Sometimes you might even plot into an area they don't want to talk about, but that's fine. Just being interested in people is what people that's who they want to work with. Somebody who cares. When we break trust down into components, we always look at it as one aspect of it is competency. Do I think you're competent? One. Number two, do I think you have my back? Number three, if something goes wrong, can I count on you? Can you help? Can I solve a problem? That's how you start to build trust. Can you be that person? Buy a copy in your first 90 days. I can go over that book with you. I got an outline here, but what a great book. And most of the companies I work with as the top HR executive, I knew people coming in knowing my company wasn't good at indoctrination yet. I buy them a book. Boom, here it is. It's an easy read. Michael Watkins wrote it many years ago. It's still relevant today. Buy the book. And if you're an executive, there's a book that from a gentleman, Dan Champa, who's a friend of mine. He wrote it. It actually helped Michael Watkins write his book, but he wrote one for executives called Taking Advice. And just think about the title there. It's about asking questions. It's about finding people to take advice from. So that's a great book for an executive discussion. Here's the first 90-day book. So just look at what I just said. What I'm preaching to you about how bad companies are sometimes, and I do that with care and with love and with the hope that they get better. But this book makes sense. There's a fundamental propositions Michael list is, challenges come from misunderstanding job demands and how they fit with you. This is a great time to go get questions and ask questions. Match your strategy to the situation. Match who you are to what the situation provides. People love that. They want you to come in and be successful. Mobilize the energy of people around you. How do you get people energized? Optimistic, asking questions, finding a common place with them, lifting them up. Test and strengthen diagnostic skills and test your personal skills. This is the great part. You do have to study when you come into an organization. Study, assess what's important, what's not important. Who do I talk to? Who are making decisions here? How do I get things done? Test your assessment skills of how you dig into it. And that's from asking a lot of questions and being confident of who you are. And then using a framework. So what I always suggest in your first 90 days, you map it out. Now, it's great having a great plan, but also having the ability to adjust the plan is a powerful part of it. But having a mapped out plan about how to go learn the people. I'm going to learn how the enterprise works. I'm going to learn how the departments are matched together. I'm going to learn how my department works. I'm going to learn about the objectives of the bump. Just give yourself a list of things to go learn and ask questions about it. And then you'll see the transitional comments on the other side that support these main propositions. It's a great book. It's a great planning document for you to approach your first 90 days. So the theme here is, once again, you've come to Job Club and they're going to tell you about self-awareness. Self-awareness, self-awareness, self-awareness. Use all the tools. Use all the assessments you get your hands on. Find the people who care about you and will tell you the truth. Meditate. Sit down and explore. As a member of the James B. Beam Bourbon Institute at UK, I would suggest for many semi-dark room, nice glass of bourbon, and just explore who you are, explore a plan to go figure out who you are and how people view you. Self-awareness, 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 with the mindset that the company is running around trying its best. They're just not very good at it. So you can play a powerful role in making all this work by being the type of contributor that isn't waiting for the instructions to come to you, or that you're trying to guess how to act the next time around. You're proactively involved in that self-aware, exploring opportunity. Let's talk about it. Let's get some talk going on here. I want to talk about it. What kind of talk do we have? What kind of questions do we have? What's the crazy thing that I've said? What's the useful thing I said?
We have in the chat, Joseph says, that's why Simon Sinek says, if you hire people just because they can do a job, they'll work for your money. But if you hire people who believe, goodness gracious, who believe what you believe, they'll work for you with blood, sweat, and tears.
Isn't that true? I think, Simon has a lot of really great comments. And I think that's the point that I was trying to make there, is when companies are trying to hire to a job description, it's not complete enough. It's not robust enough. And I'm hoping that you're looking for opportunities where you can go really contribute. So I think that's a great comment. Thanks for the comment.
And then Tanya says in the chat, companies aren't doing the hiring process well.
Yes. I'm with you on that one, Tanya. Believe me, it's not an evil thing. There's so much going on right now. The world has reset. The companies that had, in my opinion, from my observation, that had a good foundation of who they are and what they intend to be and what they're trying to be are having a better time adjusting. The companies that were going more control-based, more autocratic, more I have the information, do what I say, they're struggling. They're having a hard time keeping up. That's just a pattern that we look at when we look at organizations. Other comments or questions? Anything that you're going to challenge? I love challenges. I get smarter with challenges.
We do have a question. Gerard is wondering, are companies looking to revise or adjust their core values due to the changes in the environment?
Yeah, I think that is a great comment. I think that was my previous comment. I think the ones that are more self-aware themselves, they're looking at it and they're finding the struggles. They're going that direction. I think the ones that are still trying to hammer control, they're trying to stay in control at the top, are struggling. I have one of my other Bradisms that I teach most of my clients, and it's called Speech 49B. I don't know where that came. I made it up. Speech 49B is the illusion of control. You're no longer in control. You're going to have to learn how to lead. You're going to have to learn how to articulate your values, articulate your interests, create a work environment, invite people to your work environment. A lot of companies will say to me, well, Brad, we're struggling because we don't pay enough. And so we can't have, good employees. And what I'm finding, that's not true. Now, there is a pay level that people are expecting for a lot of jobs to be able to, pay your bills, the security and safety and basics of life. But once you get, above, and the number we use in research is around 30,000. Once you get above that, people are really looking for a work environment that's not miserable. They're looking for one that they want to go to. They're looking for places, in the Gallup surveys, the workplace surveys that companies pay money for. Question number 10 is, I have a best friend at work. They're looking for a place where you want to go and see people. So the companies that are more modern, more open-minded, have stronger leadership capabilities, they're the ones re-exploring their values, their operating principles, what they intend. Well, there's a thing in the talent acquisition world that's come up. There's some new words in the talent acquisition world, and one of them is candidate experience. And candidate experience by nature is nothing more than your employee value proposition. Why would I want to work at your company? And your employment brand. What does it feel like to work at your company? So that's the things that we're pushing on companies to articulate that now. And I'm working with 8 or 10 companies right now, and I said, hey, what is your candidate experience? And they're like, I don't know, it's a job. Right, that's my point. Why would somebody want to work at your company? And what we're finding is people are leaving higher paid jobs to work in a place that has flexibility, optimism, friendliness, clarity of purpose, clarity of role. That's what they're looking for. And these 4.3 million people who left the work environment, a lot of them weren't finding, they just weren't finding it in their current employer. So they're going to go try it somewhere else. Some of you on this call, I heard there's a good number of folks on this call, you may be in the same spot. Great. Now is a wonderful time to really understand who you are, to go out looking for that.
We have a few comments in the chat as well as another question for you. So Jacqueline says that she appreciates that you articulated that we are undergoing a reset. It rings true to me about the deeper issues of what is going on. It's also an encouraging and exciting time.
Yes. I get excited about it. That's why I love teaching talent acquisition, because people come thinking I'm going to teach them how to interview or how to, do something mechanical. No. It's about rethinking. It's about understanding a different strategy, different path, a different destination to create a work environment people want to be a part of.
And then George has a question. What are some strategies to find companies or potential bosses that believe what I believe?
Well, number one, you believe has to be clear. You have to be able to articulate it. This is the old elevator speech thing, right? You have to know it so well by the time you get to the 3rd floor. Some people say the 10th floor. I'm going to say the 3rd floor. That you have to be sharp enough to know what you're looking for. That's one. Now, the first thing that was mentioned is LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is not the answer to everything, but it's a pretty darn good start. 70% of the working world is on there. So network. And there's a thing that we teach at the Gatton College called the Granovetter's Principle. And Granovetter's Principle says you get the strength, the value from your weak ties. In other words, the people you don't have a relationship with. The people that you know, your cousins and people and all that stuff, they know what you know. So you have to go pursue outside of your network and ask people questions. So if there's a company you would like to go do, send 20 LinkedIn messages out to people, or 10, whatever the number they let you do anymore, and you ask about those things before you apply or while you're in the application process is one. I find people who just work there and ask them questions. Some people like to use Glassdoor and things like that, and those are fine, I guess. I've never liked it because it's anonymous. Yeah, I don't, plus Glassdoor offers a service to companies that they can improve their standing if you just pay them $10,000 or $20,000. So Glassdoor is okay. Let Glassdoor just help you formulate questions. But the strategy points are to go out and explore. Find people who work there, not just the employment people, the people who work there, and get input from them. That'd be my first response. Thanks, George.
Wonderful. And then another question from Michael. He says, you make an important point about the importance of job conditions. What suggestions do you have for candidates to assess these effectively within the interview process?
Well, that's where you have to have your questions, right? I'm sure that you heard in many different job club format discussions about, making it a two-way conversation. Let them ask you their questions, but, whether you decide to do it while they're asking questions or even at the end of it, but have your questions prepared to understand the work environment. Make them non-threatening. Make them that they're inquisitive. Don't ask a question, tell me about your time off, and then it lets the interviewer go and say, well, he or she's just worried about time off. But ask it, what is your approach to flexibility? Do you believe your workforce happy with it? Help me understand, just great intellectual questions of people of understanding the work environment is a good way to do that in the interview process. But having your self-awareness being so strong about what you're looking for, your questions will come out of you just easily. It'll flow out of you when you know what you're looking for. Hopefully that answered the question for you. Michael?
Great points. Gerard had a comment. He says that, let me suggest that the value proposition or values of companies are not always consistent throughout the company. So for example, the HR department may be great and the finance department could be miserable, he says, a culture reflecting the department leadership there.
Yeah, no, that's very, very true. That's a very kind of a thought. It's a very good, thoughtful point and thoughtful comment, because that's when you make sure when you go explore and learn and do your study about a company that you broaden that. Don't just look in just your department. That department may have a great leader who just creates this great departmental leadership environment. And that's great if that person's going to be there a long time. But it's 2022 and we're resetting. That boss person that's hiring you may go find somewhere else to go work, right? Especially if their culture doesn't line up with the rest of the company. And then it's very fragile. So that's a very, very good point, is to spread that investigation out, your learning out to other departments to see how that works. Don't just focus on your department. Great comment. Great insight. Other comments, questions, challenges, jokes, vignettes, anecdotes? So it is a great time. And I do know this is a stressful process, but I do hope you take a positive approach in pursuing this. This is a really great time to go explore the work environment and find the place that you really want to be a part of. And that doesn't mean that you have to select that place to get a gold watch eventually, right? I like building a trusting relationship with people. And if there's a chance that you need to get a chance to move on, give them plenty of notice. Hopefully you can build that relationship. When I ask hiring managers going in the hiring process, how long do you want this person to work for you, work in this company? They look at me like I have two heads. What do you mean forever? Dude, 2022, not happening. So how long do you need them here? Oh, well, that's a whole new way of thinking about things. Oh my God, I didn't know. You want to hire this person for just one job, or do you want them to hire for multiple jobs in our company? That's a different employment proposition. It's best to be honest. Well, I'm going to tell them that they can get promoted here. Is it true? Well, it's going to keep them motivated. Wait. Lying to them is going to motivate them? Dude, I'm not sure what school you're coming from. That doesn't work. So those are the things to think about as you get into this. Other questions, comments, thoughts? I saw a little note that one of my good friends, George Ward, is on the call. Shout out to George Ward. Woo! George. I'm sure there's other people I know on there.
We do have another question. James would like to know, what is the best way to sell yourself in terms of your ability to work with a flexible workforce? For example, some in the office, some teleworking, use of outside contract agencies, for example.
Let me ask you for clarification. Is that for you as a person, or so say that again, the first part of it?
Yeah, of course. What is the best way to sell yourself in terms of your ability to work with a more flexible workforce?
Well, first, the easy one is just to articulate very clearly that you have the capability, the patience, the experience, the knowledge, the interest, the supportive ideas that you're willing to do it, because most people just complain about it, right? You usually have, when you talk to people about a flexible work environment, they usually tell you what's wrong with it. I mean, being positive about it. You know, when I teach class, people, they say, Brad, well, what do you do when you do class projects? Do you just separate the people on Zoom and the people in the class? No, the working world is on Zoom now. So I have people in class and in Zoom, they have to get together just like we have to in the working world. So if you go in with confidence and ability and recognize that the world's probably not changing anytime soon, and you can articulate that that's not an issue to you, that you've done some things, you've experimented, you've tried things and they failed, and I found a winning formula. I feel very positive working with flexible work environment people. It's not going away anytime soon. So if you can articulate from a personal self-awareness perspective about what you're doing to make that work, in your special tricks and ideas and learning when doing that, even the things that you've tried and it didn't work, you're showing confidence and competence in the ability to work with others. I work with a company right now that's based in Rhode Island and Salt Lake City. They have 7 leadership team members, and they've never, ever been in the same room. They do everything on Zoom. I work with an organization in East Tennessee that is a very large consumer products company, and they have 12 of their 24 marketers have never been to East Tennessee. It's a new world, folks. It's resetting. Be the competent one who can handle that. I know 2 companies that are selling their corporate headquarters, and they're going to treat the entire nation as their talent pool. REI, a famous company, is selling their corporate headquarters. Exciting times. I love this time. Think about it, though. I teach talent acquisition and change management. I'm giddy. This is crazy. How wonderful to go learn. How miserable to try to get back to where we were. Be the proactive, adaptable person who can find success, create success in this new environment. And Lord have mercy, have fun doing it. Other questions, comments, thoughts?
We just have a comment. Joe says, great info, really enjoyable session, and thanks, Brad Patrick.
Thank you so much, Joe. Rock on, have a great time. I'll wrap up. I want to just wrap up. I give in your deck that I'm going to give you. Here's the resources that I've taken from. There's a great self-awareness article here and how to cultivate it from HBR. Under Sloan, there's a researcher I love out of University of Pennsylvania named Dan Cable. And Dan Cable has a short version of his article under the MIT Sloan. And then if you like to read academic papers, there's the other one. It's like 40 pages that gets into great detail about it. But when you read all those things, I believe, at least my suggestion to you is the message is, go figure your self-awareness out and be ready to participate in the modern world. I will wrap it with that. That's fun. And I think we had questions. I'll hand it over to Amanda, and she will take it from here. And I'll put my mask back on. And
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate you so much, Brad. That was great. Really appreciate the engagement from our online community. Thank you so much for the great chat. All right, now we're going to shift over into who's hiring, our active job leads. We have had a ton come through email in the last couple of weeks, especially even over the holiday. Hiring did not slow down over the holiday. If anything, I think job postings may have picked up. And so any employers with active job leads, I don't think we have anyone in person today, but if you would like to share those in the chat box, you're most welcome to. Please email them to us at ukalumnicareer@uky.edu, and we'll make sure that those are in the job lead newsletter. For our new first timers, this afternoon, you'll receive a job lead newsletter that our team compiles every job club session. Okay, be watching for that. It'll be coming into the email that you registered with. Okay, next up, quick job club facilitators, news and programs. Fayette County Cooperative Extension continues to have incredible program offerings. Grace is going to put into the chat box over there their Facebook page and the registration pages for their program, so please watch for those. Any updates from STEPS Human Resources? Lots of job postings. I'm looking at Nicole for any other feedback. Anything else you want us to share for you? Yep. Please check out the website. She says lots of job postings. Steps continues to be an incredible way for you to get on at UK. Many of us started our careers at UK, including myself, through Steps. UK Alumni Career Services, me and Caroline are accepting clients still right now. Our clients over the break had so much success. I think I personally had 3 clients with offers over the holiday break in that 2-week stint. Employers are doing counter offers to keep their talent. It's just a really unique time in the negotiation process. So if you're navigating a career change, or if you're thinking about a career change, know that Alumni Career Services is here to support you. We serve life and active members of the UK Alumni Association, and you can get more info at ukalumni.net/career. Okay, next time at Job Club, Caroline's the main speaker, and she's going to talk about 10 steps for a successful career change. So lots of strategies for making that career change or career pivot happen, and she'll be sharing all those wonderful strategies. You can find the registration link at ukalumni.net/Job Club, and we'll put the registration link into the chat box as well. We're monitoring the COVID situation pretty closely. We're discussing potentially pivoting just online for a Job Club, so we'll keep you in the loop. Please watch for our reminder emails, and that'll have the most recent up-to-date information. On behalf of the UK Alumni Association, Fayette County Cooperative Extension, and UKHR Steps Temporary Employment, thank you so much for joining Job Club today, and we'll see you later this month. Bye.